Jay, and we'd like to welcome you to our humble home. There you go.
Come on inside.
Come on in. We'll give you a little tour.
Well, let's check out the master first.
We're going to the master bedroom.
Let's check out the master bedroom.
Come on over here. Enough to do. We got some junk on the floor,
Jay's broke
the walls.
toilet seat.
We got a little ceiling
We had a
problem.
wild party last night.
Got a nice toilet seat. Somebody ripped it right off the toilet. Come on over here. Chris will show you the master bedroom. I'll let him take over.
This is just great. Look at that. Look at the master. Look at that awesome, whatever that is on the wall here. That's a picture. And come on in here. Look at this closet space. Look, would you look at this? And if you look close enough, you can see right underneath the bathtub. Jace just broke our picture window, but that's all right. Look right through there. You can just look right and see the. Oh, get out of here! Get out of here!
We got this place.
Family tour. Come on.
Come on over.
Don't mind her. She was supposed to leave out a long time ago. All right. Here we have an awesome bathroom. Oh, you broke it.
Whoa. Okay, here's our bathtub. This is where me and Chris take baths together.
And this used to be the toilet, but somebody stole
Somebody got crazy at one of our
it.
parties.
Yeah, and they stole it. And like they stole all the Dixie cups.
Yeah,
and
we're
like,
out of Dixie cups.
They took our light,
And
stole
all
the
of our
light
drugs.
bulb.
They took all the drugs out of the medicine cabinet.
And look at that. They stole everything. The shaving cream. I'm not gonna be able to shave for days. Look at that. Supposed to be moved out a long time ago.
Yeah.
Watch for rats.
Yeah.
They're big.
Nice and firm.
We saw at least a 10-pound rat in here the other day.
Hey, check it out. Nice and firm.
Ran off with Jeff Sneer.
Somebody stole my posters off the walls, though.
And this belongs to something else in the house.
That's a furnace cover there.
We got a little Mexican family living back in the continent. Be quiet, they're sleeping, don't disturb them.
Why don't you give them a tour of the kitchen?
All right, all right. Go ahead on in here.
You go right ahead, man. I'll just follow you up in.
I'll zoom in on this. Take a look. This is our beautiful kitchen. There's Deb. Deb's moving out.
Wave to the camera, Deb.
Deb didn't pay her rent, so she's moving out.
And I took all my furniture.
Deb, look at this. No food left in the cabinet. Deb stole our sink for us.
I'm one of the homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's Lee.
She's living with
He's
that
outside begging for food.
He did live in the closet, but then that one family decided to give us a quarter a day, so we booted him out.
We got a trash can right there. Goes right outside.
That's the new toilet.
Mess with it.
Hey, we got a chair out of
And
there.
there's a landlord.
Yeah.
Zoom in on a landlord.
Yeah.
There's a bed in there.
That's Mr. Smith.
Low rent.
He's our landlord.
Very economical house.
Don't tell him about the family living in the closet, though. He doesn't know that. That's extra money on the side.
They pay Chris a
Wait.
quarter.
We don't tell him. Besides that, we don't have to pay taxes.
What about the beautiful ceiling? I forgot to look at the beautiful ceiling.
Yes.
It's very.
We survived the Grand Island tornado.
Kind of a Van Gogh type thing,
It
huh?
came out. The ceiling came out of the
Mike,
60s.
look.
They
Somebody
totally
stole our
destroyed
light.
the
It's
Look
gone.
at that. It's gone.
Not too bad considering this is on St. Andreas' fault.
Bad.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you guys...
No. Get a crowbar. Come on, Deb. You
Come here.
amateur
Oh,
filmer.
yeah.
Look at these flies under
Flies.
there. Check them out. Zoom in on them babies.
They're hibernating. Baby bats.
Stowaways up there in the cabin.
Zoom in.
Here's two about to
find
make.
them.
There's two. There's hibernating, so be quiet.
Okay, wait a minute. I gotta find the little thing. The little red button.
Who wants to get a man?
When you got the green light on in there, it means it's recording.
Yeah, I had to find the little green. Problem with the window here,
It
sirs?
won't open.
Do we have a problem with the
It's
window?
getting hot in here, and we can't get the window open. I don't know
It's
what
only
the
20
problem.
below out.
We're trying, but the crank's
We're
gone.
trying to get some air in here, you know, because it's kind of stale.
Yeah.
Do you?
We got flies in the cupboard.
We're making refried
Mr.
beans
Smith,
What?
do you think, is there a good foundation in this house?
Sure. Steel foundation.
Steel foundation? What are you gonna do with the house? Chop it up, make it really teeny?
We're gonna make low overhead,
Now,
up in
Deb,
the sides, and
You
cram
big-
2 pinos in there.
I think you're crazy, Mr. Smith.
you should write this out.
We're
What
wrong.
Mexican family wouldn't like this place?
Didn't Jeff say you wanted to live here?
take?
Genuine iron premium set.
It was a long time, everybody just stands around. They get all that.
It's kinda
It's
hard to
steel.
walk and look.
If
at
it's
the same
steel, like this bracket here,
There you go. These are headlights for the wagon. Paint them black.
that plastic. There you- That's it. Take it in there.
All right,
What an
way to go,
entrepreneur I am.
Where's our garbage can? Is that closed?
time. It's over here in the corner.
Whoa, can't please.
Where's our steel?
I gotta put this on my bike.
All right, look at
Flat screwdrivers?
Wait a minute, Miss Slot. We're rodent hunting here today on Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom. We're looking for a little rat.
Mutual Omaha's Wild Condom.
Excuse me.
We're looking for a rat. Whoa, no, never mind, that's not it.
Jump.
We're searching.
There's ice down there.
Searching the floor.
Keep going. Cabinet. Wasp nest. Quality house, dude. You gotta love it.
Come on, Beth. Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
Isn't this a snack?
Frame Deb. She's framed.
What a frame job.
Like the Mona Lisa.
Who framed Deb Reader? Material.
Did you get
You wanna do
convicted?
that, Dan? Do it. So I'm gonna take all these. outlets and say,
Nice shark. Almost done.
What are you doing, Jay?
Taking this out.
You were doing it that no, Mike.
Strip.
Hi, Jace.
Let's remove ceiling panels. I like it.
Here we go. Start over here. Let's start over here. You can just rip one down.
Removing ceiling panels the material way. Oh, he's a screw.
All right, where's that Black & Decker cordless screwdriver?
It's all right.
Hey, tomorrow or Monday, everybody bring a straight screwdriver. That would Thought you were getting away, didn't you?
Yeah.
Looking real fine there, Dan. Dude.
Take some and put it in my room.
Little liquid plumber there. We'll do a little zooming in here. We'll do that.
yeah, you can do a little block sand and fake it and then.
In the vocational auto mechanics class, we covered up the gas tank hole, and we put a thin layer of body filler over it, and now we're just sanding it and making it all same level, making it all smooth. Getting ready to put the last thin layer of body filler on it, and getting ready to paint it. Down here we've got to cut out all this rust yet, welded another piece of metal there, another piece of steel, and then this fender's about ready to paint. What right here. Now what I'm supposed to say about this one.
This is how we took it off, what we did to it.
Just tell them it's going to go on.
Well, this door we're taking out the window and all the door paint mechanisms and painted everything up and painted everything on the inside and got the different door panels and cut out most of the supporting steel inside there to make it a lot lighter. And we've already put the primer over it and everything, and after we've done all this to the door, and I've already put the primer on the fender to get it to look like this. And this is really close to getting painted. Let's see my car. It all started out like this, where it was all the wood grain coating on it, and we grind it all off, and grind the paint off, and everything's down to bare metal. and then we'll put another thin layer of body filler on it to get it all smooth, and then we'll sand it again. And probably have to cut off some of this down here and weld another piece of steel in there, and then primer it and paint it all. All right, cut.
You filming? Wait, all right.
Just go ahead and go. We can cut it off.
Oh, hi there. What's going on? My name's Jason Matera. I'm with the HHS Auto Mechanics, and I'll just show you what we've done here. We cut out all this sheet metal here to lighten it up a little, and we put some new steel in here to seal up the holes, and we cut out this front cross section here so the engine can just come right out there when we want to take it out of there. We cleaned up the rack and pinion here and put some new discs on there. Yeah, we painted her all up. Looks real nice, huh? Well, that's all I have to say.
40 sounds better.
Whatever, Dan. Just go ahead and say it.
35%.
Well, you gotta figure it. What are we gonna do with the windows?
We're gonna put plexiglass in it.
Oh. Okay. Oh, here's one. Ready? Here's the door that isn't done yet. There was a big cross member in here. We cut that out and moved about 40% of the way to the door. And we've got another inside door panel put on there. And put the window crank and the door handle back on. And we're replacing the glass with plexiglass to make it even lighter.
This lady painfully went to tint these windows here. Wait, I want a shot.
This is 5 layers of limo tint under here.
I want to get an interior shot here. The before and after type thing.
Not me, I tried. I'm not a movie star.
Can you get it low enough where you can... Wait.
It's okay.
What do you need?
We got power wash all that off. We got all the old greases on.
Hi, I'm Michael Welsh. I'm the one who's doing all the filming and stuff here. So I won't be on camera too much. So I'm being on here now. Well, our friendly cameraman, Jason Matera, is filming me for this because he wanted to use the camera for a little bit, so I'm letting him. This is our Pinto. This is the car. I thought I'd do an introduction of it because I don't do much else in this class anyway.
Ah, sure you do. You did the doors.
Did the doors, yeah, I did. So I did the doors. I did the hinges. I did put the workings back inside them on the right door. I sanded them. I put the locks back in. I did a little bit on the interior.
I like this.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Don't waste all the film.
This is gonna have a 4-cylinder.
Alright, let's get some of those engine parts out.
We're getting over there.
What are you doing?
See if we can run away.
What are you guys talking about?
Can I make it?
So we're gonna fake this down.
He's wasting film.
We'll turn the camera on right over here. We're gonna film.
Hey, you're taping me.
Differential, whatever you want to call it. And like, we're taking these off. And we're taking this off. We're completely tearing it down. And we're gonna paint this orange. We're paint these black. We're putting 462 zoom gears in it instead of a Ford Maverick. We're putting it in the Ford Pinto. And then that's about it. What else did you want? I can't remember what you wanted me to say. The cover's already been taken off, and you can see the inside. It's pretty dirty right now, but like we'll be rebuilding everything with new seals, maybe new lines. I'm not sure, but down the road we're going to rebuild everything along the back brakes, along the front brakes. We'll be painting this back thing black, reconditioning these brakes.
Okay, I'm Tim Smith, the automotive instructor here. We're going to mix up a little fiberglass or plastic filler to use on the rear door panel. We've sanded down. We've taken all the name Mercury Bobcat off the back, and we've MIG welded all the doors shut, or the little holes. Now we're just going to mix up a little bit of filler to fill in where there's a little bit of warpage from that welding process. So if you just follow us over here, we're going to lay a little bit on here and educate some of these students. You notice how they just disappear all over the place. In the background here, we have some other students that are currently working on an engine, disassembling an engine. They'll later mic that and measure that, clean all the parts, and then hopefully rebuild it and put it back inside the car and hope that it runs if they did everything right. And they all look the other way when we're talking about them. But there's not too much on here. We're going to just simply screed a little filler on here to fill in those low spots. Use very low Bondo in this particular car. We tried to hammer out the sheet metal as much as possible, use a torch to heat and shrink the metal where it was warped. We don't want this thing to be called a Tupperware car. So we're just using a little bit of Bondo just to fill in some of the minor imperfections. They're over here, just a few low spots. Always good exercise, have to sand all this off and do it 4 or 5 times. Okay, then a few spots that are left that have some rust around where these guide pins were for the molding. We'll have to acid treat those and flush that off. And we'll block sand out the filler and we'll be ready to prime it. And the students will get some practice squirting the primer on there. We'll tape off the window and then squirt the back side, do this side, and we'll assemble a completed door back onto the car. Now who's next for the...
Oh, I'm on. Hi, I'm Barry Halsey, and we tore apart 2 blocks completely and put them in the caustic tank, and then we cleaned all the parts. Now
What's the purpose of cleaning all that in the caustic tank and steam it and wash them off?
Mike.
What are we going to do?
Mike. We're going to mic them or what? Mic them.
Yeah, we're gonna mic them.
Mic them. We're going to
I
mic
think we better stop practicing.
Hi, I'm Barry Halsey. This is good old Mr. Smith.
Okay, Barry, why don't you explain what do you have here? You have 2 engine blocks. What have you done with those?
We tore them apart, and then we put them in the caustic tank.
Now, what's the caustic tank?
What is it?
Yes. I mean, what happened when you put it in the caustic tank?
It ate all the oil and dirt off.
And after you took it out of the caustic tank, you did what?
Then we washed it down and hot water.
Now, did you do that with all the engine components?
No.
What parts did you put in the caustic tank?
The head and the block, crank.
And after you clean those up, what are you going to have to do with the micrometer and that sort of stuff?
We're going to measure everything.
Okay, so then we will pick out probably the best block and the crank, go down and be machine.
Yeah.
What are we going to accomplish with this? Now we have a good block of it. Now what are we going to bore it out to?
30 thousandths on it.
All right, and what size pistons are we going to put back in here? What compression ratio?
8 to 1.
And then with the 8 to 1 compression, we're going to also run a turbocharger, right?
Right.
What kind of pounds boost?
12 to 15.
Okay, 12 to 15 pounds boost with that kind of pressure. What horsepower are we looking at?
Slightly over 200.
Okay, we had the first race car, we tried some additional horsepower with nitrous oxide. You might want to show the people what happened with our first race car when we hit the funny gas, and we had horsepower for a brief moment, but we also had some broken pistons. Now these pistons go in as 2.3 or forged pistons from Jerry Walsh at Walsh Racing out of Florida, and they're the ones that designed the pistons for us. And a 290 duration can with a 450 lift it should be around 200 horsepower range, and the nitrous will give it another 50 horsepower. So this one should stay together so we don't have that kind of a problem we had with the first one. All right, while we move around the side here, we can show some things that we cleaned up. Gary's worked on here a little bit.
Chair. We go. And many other engine components.
Here's our old pistons, and we took the rings off. We're going to take them downtown and get them machine shop, and take the rods off and get them radius and resized and polished. And here's our water pump and oil pump, and here's our supercharger we got from Total Power Performance in Hastings for free. And this is just our other, from another engine too. What else?
Our caustic tank, where a lot of the students have been bringing all the engine components, put them in there to degrease them, and we steam them off so we have a clean cast iron material surface to work with. Makes it much easier to measure when you don't have to fight the grease. And then a lot of the components that are used, we can put them in this glass beater, and we'll just simply take the rust and material off of them so that the paint will adhere better to it. And then when we do the valves on the head, we can use the glass beater, take the carbon off the valves. And then the students will also grind the valve seats, and then we're going to try and port and polish this particular head, which we've done with the first race car, and spent a considerable amount of time just opening up the ports, matching up the runners, and radiusing them just a little bit, and put a semi-glossy finish to the runners. But turbocharger you don't need quite as critical to make a smooth runner as you do with an aspirated type engine, but it is important that you open up and take any of the flashing that's left in the casting from the factory and get rid of that, so obviously you get better airflow, and also so that some of those pieces don't drop down in the engine and make it self-destruct. And this room is just basically a cleaning room. They have a solvent tank that students clean the valve covers and a lot of the other major components with, and just to make it more readily available, so as we start to put it back together, all these components are cleaned up and ready to go for assembly. A low-budget project. This particular dash off this car has about 4 cracks in it, and so we had several students just V out the molding, and then we put body putty in it, smoothed it up, sanded it down, and then we sprayed rock guard on the pad itself. Gave us a texture to it, kind of a rough texture, and then we simply sprayed on some vinyl dye, and then we have put clear over the top of it with some micro sequins in it to give it a little bit of glitter. And it should look relatively good for a short period of time. It's not recommended you do that type of thing on a real car where there's daily driven and a lot of vibration, that sort of stuff, because it will re-crack. The plastic filter does not expand the same rate as the vinyl, but it's much cheaper than buying a new pad, and we're doing this on a very strict, tight budget. And the basic philosophy is make do with what you have, and this is one approach we've used with the dash itself. We have with the Pinto and the Mercury, we're using an automatic C4 transmission, and we have about 4 of these in the shop, one of which is currently in our current race car, and this is the second one going in. The students totally go through this transmission and put in new clutch packs and service it, clean it, go through the valve body, reassemble it, and put it together, and if everything comes out right, we stuff it in the car and the transmission will work. It's a fairly tough transmission, and behind a 4-cylinder doesn't seem to be any problem. On the first race car, we got a torque converter recut and curved by Neil Chance Racing Transmission out of Wichita, Kansas, which helped us pick up a little bit on acceleration coming out of the hole, let the engine rev up an additional 200 or 300 horsepower. So those are some things to play with that we can get this automatic to go. It serves several functions. Number one, it gives the students a chance to get into automatics, rebuild an automatic. Second, if they don't put it together right, we'll find out about it real quick. And it also builds a lot of pride, because if you put one together and it stays together and we go over and race with it, that's a lot more fun. And then second, by using an automatic, we're much more consistent than using a standard transmission. We'll have the students go over there and race, and the first couple times down the track we'll shift at 5,000, 6,000 RPM, and then eventually work up by 500 RPM increments. So it makes it a little more exciting to actually shift the transmission yourself and see what difference horsepower and RPM range make in the quarter-mile racing. So this is just one more project the students have to complete before we get this race car ready to go. Here are some of the components that we got from Racer Walsh out of Florida. After talking with him, explaining what we wanted to do and sending down materials of how we put our first race car together and what we were trying to accomplish, not necessarily the fastest car, but a durable car that would go together. We came up with some of the components that he recommended, and one of these is the 8-to-1 compression ratio forged piston. Forged being that it's much stronger than the cast type piston which we were running in the first race car, which when we tried the nitrous obviously broke out the sides here on the skirt. So this forged piston will be able to take the horsepower and also be able to take the nitrous oxide, should be with no problem. We're running an 8-to-1 compression ratio. We will be putting on a double head gasket in order to get it down to approximately 7.5 to 1. The lower you can get the compression ratio, the more boost you can put in the engine, and therefore the more power you can get out without running into a higher temperature of the fuel charge going into the engine. We also came up and bought 2 of these overhead cam belt gears. These are an adjustable type gear so that we can degree the camshaft in. Currently with the 4-cylinder Pintos type engine, there's no way of degreeing the cam, because when you degree the cam, you machine the head down, it throws off the belt configuration and changes the cam timing. So with this, we'll be able to dial in the cam a lot more accuracy than what we're currently doing, which is virtually not at all. And so if we advance the cam, that'll give us a little more bottom end. If we retard the cam, that'll give us more top end. So therefore, we can simply adjust this and play with this at the track and see what difference that makes in the 60-foot acceleration mark, and then also on the top speed and the top ETs of the race car. Again, an educational experience in what it takes to make cars go. This isn't necessarily the fastest, it's just an approach to get things to understand the basics of auto mechanics. And when we went to this type of engine in order to produce approximately 200 horsepower, we're using a stage 2 camshaft that Jerry Walsh recommended with a 290 duration and approximately a 450 lift. That's fairly radical, still idle properly, won't bog out, so the students won't be frustrated taking off from the line, having a dog out. And also we can run essentially the stock springs and not run into piston and valve clearance type problems. So this 290 duration cam with 450 lift, and this set of pistons, approximately 12 to 15 pounds of boost, have been dyno tested in excess of 200 horsepower in this 2.3 type engine. So we're looking forward to that, see what will happen there. And then when we're running that particular cam, we had to also go to solid lifters. That engine was designed to use hydraulic lifters from approximately 5,500 up to 6. The hydraulic lifters begin to float and the rockers can't keep up. So we've had to go with a solid lifter on the other side of the cam follower that runs the valve, so we don't have valve lash and a lot of hydraulic type problems from pumping up. Then when running a turbo, there's lots of problems with turbos. There's spin down as the turbine winds down, spinning at a high rate of speed. If turbines run out of oil, they self-destruct very quickly. So in this case, we are using an AccuSump turbo oiler. It's simply a little canister that goes up on the side and will hold approximately a quart of oil. So when we first start the engine up, we'll have a micro switch on it so that the engine will not fire or will not run until oil pressure is built up to 20 pounds of oil pressure. And at that point, this canister will fill up with approximately a quart of oil. It has a one-way valve in the oil line to the turbo. So now when the engine is running, this will be a reservoir so that when you shut the engine down or you let up off the accelerator pedal, the oil pressure drops. This oil will then be directed into the turbo to lubricate the turbine bearing. And turbo bearings or shafts will spin approximately anywhere between 50 and 120,000 RPM, depending on the exhaust flow through them. So it's very critical that those remain and have complete oil lubrication. So we want to ensure that we do that. Another gizmo that we have, or device we have, is just simply a regulating valve that will go on the dash of the Pinto. It will tee into the vacuum turbo boost pressure gauge. It comes from the intake manifold into this regulator. It's just simply an air regulator. then back to the turbo. So the wastegate will be completely closed and putting all power into the turbine until it reaches a certain pressure. Now we can dial that pressure in. So if we want to do this in terms of education, we can run down the track with no turbo boost whatsoever. Then we can come back and we can dial in 5 pounds pressure, then 8 pounds pressure.